Lionel Richie is a name that evokes romance, nostalgia, and soulful melodies. His voice has serenaded millions around the world, capturing the highs and lows of love in songs like Hello, Truly, and 3 Times a Lady. Yet behind the glittering stage lights, the Grammys, and the worldwide fame, Lionel carried a private story of love, loss, and longing that few ever knew. Born on June 20th, 1949, in Tuskegee, Alabama, Lionel Brockman Richie Jr. grew up in a small town steeped in history and culture. His father worked at Tuskegee University Systems office, and his grandmother played classical piano. From an early age, Lionel was surrounded by music education and ambition, absorbing the sounds of jazz, gospel, and soul that floated from church windows across his hometown. These early experiences shaped not only his musical talent, but also his understanding of emotion, connection, and storytelling, which would later define his career. During his college years in the late 1960s, he joined a local R&B group called the Commodores, a decision that would change the trajectory of his life. The Commodores quickly became a sensation in the 1970s, opening for famous acts like the Jackson 5 and blending funk, soul, and R&B into something entirely new. Lionel's smooth voice, poetic lyrics, and ability to connect with listeners set him apart, earning him the nickname the Golden Boy of Soul. But as his fame grew, so did the challenges that would test his heart and character. While the world celebrated his musical talent, Lionel faced personal struggles behind closed doors, particularly in matters of love and family. Fame brought him recognition and fortune, but it also introduced pressures, temptations, and decisions that would shape the rest of his life. At the core of Lionel's story is a human truth. Even the brightest stars carry shadows, and sometimes the love that defines us comes long before the world knows our name. Lionel Richie's personal life is as compelling as his music, with relationships that capture joy, heartbreak, and lessons that influence his artistry. One of the most significant figures in his early life was Brenda Harvey, his college sweetheart. They met as young dreamers, sharing laughter, ambitions, and hopes for a future shaped by music and creativity. By the mid-1970s, they were married, believing their love could withstand the pressures of rising fame. Brenda became his anchor, helping with stage outfits, managing fan mail, and providing emotional support while Lionel toured the world with the Commodores. Together, they adopted a daughter named Nicole in 1983, a child who became a symbol of their family's strength and unity. From the outside, they appeared perfect, a talented couple with a thriving career and a loving home. However, behind the scenes, the pressures of fame created cracks in their relationship. Lionel spent months on tour, living out of hotel rooms, and feeling increasingly disconnected from the man he saw in the mirror. His music reflected his inner conflict, with lyrics of longing and guilt revealing a depth of emotion that the audience could sense but never fully understand. The couple's bond, once strong, gradually weakened under the weight of expectations, distance, and temptation, illustrating the harsh reality that love can be fragile, even for those who seem to have it all. Lionel has admitted in later interviews that during those years, he felt like he was dying a little every day, a confession that reveals the silent struggles behind his public persona. This tension between personal happiness and professional success became a recurring theme in Lionel's life, influencing the choices he made and the songs he wrote. The 1980s marked both a high point and a turning point in Lionel Richie's life. His solo career soared, producing iconic hits that made him a global superstar. Songs like Hello, Say You, Say Me, and truly cemented his reputation as a master of love songs, with lyrics that spoke directly to the heart. Yet, this era also introduced personal challenges that would shape his emotional journey. It was during this time that Lionel met Diane Alexander, a young dancer with charm and confidence that reignited feelings he hadn't anticipated. Initially, their connection seemed innocent, a friendship built on shared laughter, late-night conversations, and creative collaboration. But over time, that friendship developed into something more, even as Lionel remained married to Brenda. The affair grew quietly yet intensely, hidden behind tours, hotel stays, and public appearances. While Lionel's career reached new heights, his personal life became increasingly complicated, and the pressures of fame exacerbated the tension between desire and responsibility. Brenda eventually discovered the affair, leading to a dramatic confrontation that made headlines. The public scandal, including Brenda's brief arrest for spousal abuse, turned Lionel's private pain into a very public story. By 1993, after nearly 18 years of marriage, Lionel and Brenda divorced, with Lionel later acknowledging that fame, ego, and distance had destroyed what they once had. 2 years later, he married Diane Alexander, and together they had 2 children, Miles and Sophia. For a while, life seemed stable, but even this marriage would end in 2004 with a costly settlement, reinforcing a recurring pattern. Despite fame, success, and love, something remained unfulfilled in Lionel's life. These experiences left Lionel with a deeper understanding of human relationships, the fragility of love, the consequences of choices, and the inevitability of loss, all of which continued to inform his songwriting and personal reflections. Lionel Richie's journey of love and heartbreak was compounded by challenges to his health and identity. By his mid-50s, after decades performing, touring, and navigating personal upheavals, he faced serious health issues that threatened the very instrument that had defined his life, his voice. A mysterious throat condition required 4 surgeries, each carrying the risk of permanent damage. The procedures forced him to confront mortality, vulnerability, and the realization that fame could not protect him from life's harsh realities. At the same time, he experienced the loss of his father, Lionel Richie Sr., a figure who had instilled discipline, humility, and moral guidance. The combination of health struggles, grief, and personal reflection created a period of intense introspection for Lionel. He began to reassess the choices he had made, the relationships he had nurtured and lost, and the life he wanted to lead moving forward. It was during this time, in moments of quiet reflection while performing or sitting at a piano, that Lionel remembered a woman from his youth, someone who had inspired him, loved him genuinely, and shaped his understanding of what love could be long before fame and fortune altered his path. He never spoke her name publicly, yet her impact on his life was profound. This reflection revealed a universal truth about human experience. Sometimes the love that shapes us most is the one we never forget, the one who leaves an indelible mark on our hearts. The woman Lionel never stopped thinking about represented a love that was pure, selfless, and formative. She predated Brenda, Diane, and even the experiences that would later define his songs. Her influence can be traced in timeless hits like Still and Just to Be Close to You, with emotions conveyed transcend romantic storytelling and capture the essence of profound, unfulfilled connection. Lionel has reflected that losing her guided much of his later work, demonstrating how personal loss can fuel creativity and emotional expression. He often spoke about the lessons she taught him, how to care deeply without attempting to control, how to love fully without possession, and how to honor the feelings of another person while navigating one's own desires. These insights, coupled with decades of experience, gave Lionel a unique perspective on love, a mixture of joy, regret, wisdom, and acceptance. The revelation at 74, when he finally acknowledged her presence in his life during interviews and public statements, resonated with fans worldwide. It reminded people that love is not always about possession or permanence. Sometimes it's about influence, growth, and memory. This recognition of his first love added a layer of vulnerability to a man whose public persona had long been associated with confidence, charm, and musical mastery. Later in life, Lionel Richie experienced a second chance at love in the form of Lisa Parigi. Meeting her in 2014, when she was 24 years old and he was 65, Lionel found companionship, understanding, and calm that had eluded him for decades. Lisa was not part of the entertainment industry. She was an entrepreneur, fluent in multiple languages, and grounded in her own achievements. She treated Lionel like a normal person, not a global superstar, which allowed him to experience love without the pressures of fame. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and understanding, demonstrated that love could exist in its simplest, most genuine form. They traveled together, attended high-profile events, and formed bonds with Lionel's children, integrating into his family without replacing or competing with his past loves. Through Lisa, Lionel discovered a sense of stability and peace, emphasizing that later life relationships can be enriching, restorative, and transformative. This chapter in his life illustrates the importance of emotional maturity, empathy, and the ability to cherish love without the need for possession or validation. At the age of 74, Lionel Richie's reflections on love reached a new depth of honesty. During interviews and promotional events for documentaries about his life, He spoke openly about the woman from his youth, the love that shaped him before fame, fortune, and public recognition. He described her as someone who could make silence feel like conversation, someone who made him feel seen before the spotlight obscured reality. His words resonated not because they were scandalous or sensational, but because they were authentic, reflective, and universal. Fans recognized themselves in his story, the heartbreak of losing someone formative, the lessons learned through love, and the enduring influence of those we never forget. Lionel's acknowledgement of this love revealed a man who had lived fully, erred, learned, and ultimately come to understand that the most meaningful relationships often exist in memory and influence rather than permanence. This honesty not only humanized Lionel Richie, but also strengthened his connection with audiences who had grown up with his music and admired his emotional vulnerability. That Lionel's life story, full of highs and lows, fame and heartbreak, teaches timeless lessons about love, resilience, and artistry. His personal losses fueled some of the most memorable songs of his generation, demonstrating how pain can be transformed into creativity and beauty. His experiences with Brenda Harvey, Diane Alexander, Lisa Parigi, and the unnamed woman from his youth highlight the complexity of human relationships, the interplay of passion, temptation, forgiveness, and growth. Through triumphs and mistakes, Lionel learned that love does not always follow a predictable path, that some losses shape us more than victories, and that forgiveness, both for oneself and others, is essential for emotional well-being. In revealing his deepest truths at 74, Lionel has shown the world that even legends are vulnerable, that emotional honesty is as powerful as musical talent, and that the stories behind the songs often hold the most profound insights into life and love. Lionel Richie's enduring legacy is not only found in his music, but also in the way he has navigated life's complexities. His songs have connected generations, and his openness about love, loss, and personal growth has inspired countless individuals to reflect on their own lives. The lessons from his journey extend beyond the world of entertainment, offering insights into human emotion, the importance of authenticity, and the transformative power of love and resilience. By acknowledging the woman who shaped his heart before fame, cherishing Lisa Parigi, and remaining present for his children, Lionel demonstrates that love is multifaceted and evolving. His story underscores the idea that happiness is not always about perfection or permanence, but about learning from the past, appreciating the present, and embracing the relationships that nurture growth and understanding. Lionel Richie's life is a testament to the enduring power of music, the complexity of love, and the quiet yet profound influence of those we carry with us throughout our lives. In conclusion, Lionel Richie's story is one of triumph, heartbreak, reflection, and redemption. From Tuskegee to international stardom, from young love to heartbreak and second chances, his life illustrates the full spectrum of human experience. His confessions at 74 remind us that the most influential loves are not always the ones we marry or keep, but the ones that shape our hearts, inform our choices, and inspire our creativity. Through his music and personal revelations, Lionel Richie has given the world more than melodies. He has shared lessons on love, resilience, and authenticity. His journey encourages all of us to cherish those who touch our hearts, to learn from our mistakes, and understand that even in loss, there is growth, meaning, and the possibility of joy. As Lionel continues to sing, reflect, and live fully, his story remains an enduring example of how love, in all its forms, shapes the people we become. Even at 74, Lionel Richie's reflections on love, life, and legacy reveal a depth of understanding few people ever reach. After decades of fame, heartbreak, personal mistakes, and second chances, he has developed perspective that blends gratitude, acceptance, and quiet wisdom. Looking back, Lionel sees his life as a series of lessons wrapped in melodies, each experience shaping him as both an artist and a man. The loves he experienced, the joys of first romance, the heartbreak of betrayal, the challenges of maintaining relationships under the public eye, and the unexpected calm he found with Lisa Parigi, have all left indelible marks on his heart. He often emphasizes that while fame and fortune can provide comfort, they cannot substitute for authentic emotional connection, nor can they heal the wounds of loss or regret. His acknowledgement of the woman from his youth, the one who inspired some of his greatest songs before anyone knew his name, reflects a rare humility and honesty in a world where celebrity narratives are often polished or rewritten. He has come to understand that love is not always about possession or permanence, but about influence, growth, and mutual understanding. This realization has allowed him to appreciate the depth of his experiences, even those that cause pain, and to channel those emotions into music that resonates with millions around the world. Lionel also recognizes the irony of his career. The same heartbreaks and losses that once caused him despair ultimately fueled his creative genius, giving him the inspiration to write songs that touch the hearts of generations. Through these experiences, he has learned that resilience is born not from avoiding mistakes, but from facing them honestly and using them as opportunities for personal growth. His family, his children Nicole, Miles, and Sophia, see this evolution in him, witnessing not just a legendary performer, but a man who has weathered storms and emerged more self-aware, compassionate, and emotionally attuned. Lionel's relationship with Lisa Parigi exemplifies a fulfillment that comes from understanding, patience, and shared respect, offering him stability and joy that contrasts with the turbulence of his earlier life. Even as he continues to perform on stages around the world, he carries with him the quiet knowledge that life's most profound lessons come not from accolades or applause, but from the connections we cultivate, the loves we experience, and the courage to embrace our own imperfections. In interviews and public appearances, Lionel speaks with a calm, measured tone, often reflecting on how each chapter of his life, his early romance, his first marriage, his affair, his health challenges, and his later life love, has contributed to the man he has become. He acknowledges that fame often complicates relationships, amplifies mistakes, and intensifies heartbreak, but he also sees that it has allowed him to touch millions of lives through his music, providing solace, inspiration, and joy. Lionel's story reminds us that love is complex, evolving, and sometimes elusive, yet its impact can last a lifetime, shaping the person we become and leaving traces in the art we create. As he continues to sing, reflect, and live fully, Lionel Richie embodies a universal truth that love, loss, resilience, and creativity are deeply interconnected, and that even the pain of a lost love can be transformed into something timeless and beautiful. Lionel Richie's musical legacy is inseparable from the emotional depth of his personal experiences, which gave his songs a timeless resonance. Every lyric, every melody, carries echoes of the joys and sorrows he endured, making his music profoundly relatable across generations. From the tender vulnerability of Hello to the heartfelt devotion in 3 Times a Lady, Lionel's songs are more than chart-topping hits. They are reflections of his lived reality. His early years with the Commodores provided him with a foundation in storytelling, rhythm, and harmony, but it was his personal life that infused his compositions with true emotional weight. The love he shared with Brenda Harvey, the heartbreak of betrayal during his affair with Diane Alexander, and the quiet longing for the woman who had inspired him in his youth all contributed layers of complexity to his artistry. Fans often feel the sincerity in his voice, sensing that these songs are not just about generic romance, but about the struggles, regrets, and insights of a man who has loved deeply and lost profoundly. Even his later life love with Lisa Parigi brought a new emotional dimension, showing that joy and stability can coexist with past pain, and that healing and connection are possible at any stage of life. Beyond the lyrics, Lionel's performances have always communicated a rare authenticity. He doesn't merely sing about love. He embodies it, drawing listeners into vulnerability, passion, and reflection that defined his life. Culturally, his impact is monumental. He bridged generational gaps with music that resonates in every era, proving that the universal language of love and heartbreak transcends age, race, and geography. His ability to convey raw emotion through smooth vocals and poetic songwriting has inspired countless artists across genres, from R&B and soul to pop and contemporary ballads. The authenticity of his experiences, his mistakes, his heartbreaks, his triumphs, gives his music a credibility that few artists can match. Even decades after the release of his most iconic hits, the songs continue to resonate, in part because they are drawn from a well of genuine human experience. For Lionel, music became a way to process his life, turning personal trials into art that comforts and connects listeners worldwide. His confessions at 74, regarding the woman from his youth, illuminate how these private experiences were never separate from his public work. They are inseparable threads woven into the fabric of his artistry. Beyond commercial success, Lionel's music has had a lasting cultural significance, influencing fashion, film, television, and social movements, while simultaneously giving voice to emotions that many struggle to articulate. The depth of his songwriting reveals lessons about empathy, emotional honesty, and the power of reflection. His songs are not just entertainment. They are guides to understanding the human heart, teaching listeners that love is complex, that loss is inevitable, and that resilience is essential. Lionel Richie's story demonstrates how personal vulnerability can create universal connection, and his ability to translate lived experience into art ensures that his legacy will endure for generations. Through heartbreak, reconciliation, and reflection, he has shown that the most profound contributions to culture and music often come from the courage to embrace one's emotional truth, to confront both joy and sorrow, and to let those experiences shape the work one shares with the world. Beyond his music, Lionel Richie's influence extends into culture, mentorship, and philanthropy, reflecting a life shaped not only by fame, but also by a deep sense of responsibility. Over the decades, he has used his platform to inspire younger artists, offering guidance on navigating the pressures of the music industry, while remaining true to one's voice. Many contemporary musicians cite Richie as an influence, not only for his talent, but for the emotional honesty embedded in his songs, showing that vulnerability can coexist with success. His work has transcended the boundaries of genre, creating bridges between generations of performers and audiences alike. Richie's experiences with love, loss, and resilience have provided invaluable lessons to those he mentors. He often emphasizes that success is meaningless without personal authenticity, and that the ability to connect emotionally with audiences comes from embracing one's own experiences, mistakes, and triumphs. Alongside mentorship, Lionel has engaged in significant philanthropic efforts, using his fame and resources to support causes related to education, disaster relief, and global humanitarian initiatives. From benefit concerts to charitable foundations, Richie demonstrates that his influence extends far beyond the stage, leaving a tangible impact on communities and individuals around the world. Yet despite his public success, Richie remains profoundly introspective about his personal journey. In interviews, he often reflects on the lessons of his past relationships: Brenda Harvey, Diane Alexander, the unnamed woman who inspired his early hits, and Lisa Parigi, and how they have shaped his understanding of love, family, and personal fulfillment. He acknowledges that while fame and fortune can create opportunities, they cannot replace the deep emotional connections that sustain a meaningful life. At 74, he speaks about love with a quiet wisdom, recognizing that it is not a static achievement, but a process of growth, acceptance, and gratitude. His reflections highlight that life's richest rewards are not measured in awards or money, but in the capacity to love fully, to endure loss, and to remain open to joy even after heartbreak. In many ways, Richie's later years illustrate the idea that emotional maturity and self-awareness are just as important as professional achievement, and that true contentment arises from understanding oneself and honoring the people who have shaped one's journey. This perspective has not only informed his music, but also guided the way he interacts with his family, friends, and fans, creating a legacy that is as human and relatable as it is legendary. Lionel's ability to balance past regrets with present happiness allows him to sing with authenticity and connect with audiences who see reflections of their own lives in his lyrics. His songs are more than entertainment. They are chronicles of lived experience, teaching lessons about resilience, compassion, and the enduring power of love. Even in his 70s, Richie continues to perform with passion, grace, and emotional depth, reminding the world that age does not diminish the capacity for growth, reflection, or connection. Through mentorship, philanthropy, and music, he has ensured that his impact will be felt long after the spotlight fades. His life story reinforces the idea that the most enduring legacies are built not just on talent, but on the courage to embrace vulnerability, to learn from loss, and to live a life guided by empathy, integrity, and love. In essence, Lionel Richie demonstrates that true greatness lies in the balance between personal reflection, artistic contribution, and the willingness to give back, leaving an indelible mark on both music and humanity. Lionel Richie's life and career are a testament to the inseparable link between personal experience and artistic expression, showing how love, loss, and reflection continue to shape not only his music, but also the way the public perceives him. His personal journey, from first love to heartbreak, from fame to introspection, and from youthful mistakes to mature understanding, has given his songs a depth and authenticity that few artists achieve. The woman from his youth, who inspired some of his earliest compositions, remains a quiet presence in his narrative, representing the purity and intensity of first love, and teaching him lessons about caring, patience, and emotional honesty that would echo throughout his career. Similarly, his marriages to Brenda Harvey and Diane Alexander reflect the complexities of balancing personal relationships with the demands of stardom, showing that even the most devoted hearts can struggle under pressure. Yet, despite mistakes and regrets, Richie's ability to reflect openly about these experiences has strengthened his connection with fans, who see him not just as a performer, but as a human being who has lived through the same emotional highs and lows they experience in their own lives. His later life love with Lisa Parigi add another layer to this narrative, demonstrating that growth, healing, and meaningful connection are possible even after years of pain and disappointment. This transparency has become an integral part of his public image, as Richie balances a persona of a legendary entertainer with the vulnerability of a man who has loved, lost, and learned. In interviews, he often speaks about how his early heartbreaks shaped his creativity, giving songs like Still Hello and truly a resonance that goes beyond mere storytelling. They are expressions of real emotions that continue to inspire listeners worldwide. By sharing his reflections at 74, Lionel reminds audiences that fame does not shield anyone from human experiences. Heartbreak, longing, and growth remain universal truths. His ongoing career demonstrates that personal evolution does not end with age, and that the interplay between private experiences and public performance can create a richer, more authentic artistry. Richie's public image as a romantic, soulful performer is enhanced by this honesty, showing that the legend behind the music is also a man who has grappled with the same questions about love, loyalty, and fulfillment that his listeners face. Even as he tours, records, and attends global events, his life story adds emotional weight to every note he sings, allowing fans to feel the lived experiences behind the melodies. In essence, Lionel Richie's narrative proves that the most compelling art emerges from the willingness to embrace vulnerability, learn from the past, and honor the loves and losses that shape our identity. His career and personal life form a tapestry in which every song, every lyric, and every performance carries the imprint of those who have influenced him, both positively and painfully. This intertwining of personal history and public artistry not only sustains his relevance in the music industry, but also enriches the lives of listeners who find pieces of their own stories reflected in his work. From first love to enduring companionship, from heartbreak to redemption, Lionel Richie's journey shows that the essence of music, and perhaps of life itself, is not perfection, but the ability to translate genuine human experience into something that resonates, comforts, and inspires across time, generations, and cultures at 74. Lionel Richie's reflections mark not only a personal reckoning, but also a consolidation of his legacy, offering a blueprint for understanding love, resilience, and self-awareness to both fans and future generations of artists. In his interviews, he speaks candidly about the woman who influenced his early work, about the loves he lost to the pressures of fame, and about the relationships that ultimately taught him patience, empathy, and gratitude. These reflections reveal a man who is reconciled with his past, acknowledging mistakes without self-condemnation, embracing joys without arrogance, and understanding the delicate balance between public life and private emotions. By openly discussing his experiences, Richie sets an example of emotional honesty rarely seen in celebrity culture, showing that success is not measured solely by accolades or chart positions, but by the depth of understanding one cultivates about oneself and others. His story encourages listeners to view their own relationships and personal journeys with the same level of introspection, emphasizing that every heartbreak, every triumph, and every quiet moment of reflection contributes to the person one ultimately becomes. The public confession of the woman who got away illustrates a profound truth, that love does not always equate to possession, and that the most meaningful experiences can leave a lasting imprint even when they do not endure in conventional ways. For aspiring artists, Richie's life offers lessons on balancing ambition with authenticity, on channeling personal experiences into creative expression, and on understanding that the emotional truths behind art often resonate far more than technical perfection or commercial success. Moreover, his current life with Lisa Parigi demonstrates that stability, respect, and genuine connection are achievable even after years of tumult, showing that personal growth and happiness are not constrained by age or prior missteps. These insights have shaped his continued relevance in the music industry, allowing him to perform with a depth of emotion and sincerity that few peers can match. Audiences respond not only to the melodies but to the story embedded in every note, the lived experiences that have informed his artistry, and the authenticity that flows naturally from decades of reflection. By framing his personal narrative alongside his musical achievements, Lionel Richie has transformed his life story into a lesson in resilience, demonstrating that the interplay between love, loss, and personal evolution is both universal and timeless. His ability to speak openly about his past, without bitterness or defensiveness, reinforces the enduring power of forgiveness and acceptance, not just of others, but of oneself. As fans listen to his songs or read his interviews, they encounter more than music. They encounter a roadmap for understanding the complexities of human relationships, the inevitability of change, and the beauty of growth through experience. Richie's reflections at 74 serve as both closure and inspiration, proving that it is never too late to make peace with the past, to embrace life fully, and to connect with others in a meaningful, authentic way. Ultimately, Lionel Richie's journey, spanning youthful dreams, heartbreak, fame, and mature love, offers a timeless reminder that true legacy is measured not only by artistic accomplishments, but also by the courage to be emotionally honest, to learn from experience, and to share that wisdom with the world. Through music, mentorship, and personal example, he continues to inspire generations to approach life and love with depth, courage, and enduring sense of hope. Lionel Richie's life and music carry universal lessons about love, resilience, and human experience, illustrating that even the most glamorous or successful lives are intertwined with vulnerability, loss, and reflection. Each song he has written tells a story far deeper than its melody or rhythm, offering insight into the complex emotions of the heart: joy, longing, heartbreak, forgiveness, and acceptance. Hits like Hello, Truly, and Say Me resonate precisely because they are grounded in lived experience, capturing emotions that millions of listeners have felt themselves but often cannot articulate. His story demonstrates that emotional truth, more than technical skill or fame, creates a lasting connection between artist and audience. Fans across generations relate not only to the love expressed in his lyrics, but also to the honesty and authenticity behind them, sensing the pain, hope, and learning that shaped each note. Richie's experiences, from the first love he lost, to marriages that ended in heartbreak, to the late-life love that brought him peace, teach listeners that love is rarely simple, that relationships require effort, understanding, and sometimes acceptance of impermanence. Moreover, his life shows that personal growth is a continuous process, one that does not stop with age or achievement. By reflecting openly on his successes and failures, Richie encourages others to embrace vulnerability, to confront mistakes without shame, and see both joy and sorrow as essential teachers. His music, therefore, is not just entertainment. It is a guide to understanding the complexities of human emotion, an archive of lessons learned through lived experience, and a source of comfort for those navigating similar struggles. Beyond the personal, his story underscores the importance of integrity, empathy, and mentorship. Richie has influenced countless artists not only through his iconic sound, but also through his example of balancing career,